All right, you lot. What a great day it's been, by the way, and thank you so much for being such a great audience. So obviously, so far, you've seen me as a host here today, but what some of you might not be aware of is I'm actually a DJ and a music producer, and that's how I've connected into Toolroom and the whole network, and the reason that I'm here today. So I also host a radio show on Tomorrowland One World Radio, and it's called 4x4. It's their house music show. And every single Wednesday evening at 9 o'clock, you can find me on the airways. I also have released music, obviously with Toolroom, but Armada and Nervous Records as well. And the last few years have been pretty powerful. I've had some amazing releases, and I've had support from people like Green Velvet, Vintage Culture, DJ Paulette, and Chris Lake. And I started out in this industry as a radio presenter. It was where I first came into the music industry and fell in love with it. I became a DJ, and then I joined the Toolroom Academy course and learned how to make music in lockdown. Pete was actually one of my mentors and taught me. He was absolutely amazing. It's so funny because I started learning the course in the January, lockdown hit in the March. And so for 2 years, it was just me and Ableton. So I have a lot to thank Toolroom for. It's been a pretty crazy few years, and I've worked not only ridiculously hard, but I've played shows that I'd always dreamed about playing. The industry, as we've spoken about so much today, is really built on networking, and you never really know where your next opportunity is going to come from. So my first link in to Tomorrowland came from one of my mates in the industry, Ben Malone. He was on a panel here earlier. He's also my A&R at Armada and a presenter on Tomorrowland as well. And he basically messaged me completely out of the blue one day and said that One World Radio were looking for presenters. So he threw my name in the mix and asked me to be put forward for a demo. So I don't know if you're aware of One World Radio, but it's an international station. So you have to present slightly differently, and it took me a while to get my demo right. I had to slow down the way that I spoke, speak more internationally so people who weren't British could hear the words that I was trying to say. And after a few months of feedback and a lot of work, I was eventually put on air. And when that happens, you never really know, how well it's going to go, or whether or not that job that you're going to have is going to last or go anywhere. So I went in, worked really, really hard, and I was put on a Sunday morning chill-out show, which as a DJ is very different to what I'd normally play in a club, but it was the doorway for me going into the Tomorrowland family. So, fast forward to last year, and I got to go to Tomorrowland in Belgium for the very first time as one of the hosts of the station. I was presenting for Coke Studios, so when the big artists either finished on stage or before their sets, I'd interview them. And I watched some really huge acts and artists that I love, from like Kind of Music, Solomon going back to back with Fortet, and Nima and Swedish House Mafia on the main stage. The thing with Tomorrowland is everyone always brings their A game, and I spoke about it earlier. I love watching DJs that are better than me. So not only is it massively inspiring, but the artists and the level of creativity, not only from the sets that you watch, but the detail that goes into every single stage and corner of the festival is completely mind-blowing. So you come away with your world completely shifted, slightly altered, and a feeling of possibility and opportunity. Walking around the festival, I was really, really aware that the place that house music was in and is in right now, I didn't feel like there was a clear brand that was standing out at the festival and that fully represented the scene that I knew was flying. So I went home with an idea, and it was whizzing around in my head for days and weeks after. And I knew that with that, there was a huge opportunity to really highlight house music within the Tomorrowland brand. So the station manager had asked me if I had any ideas, if there was anything that I ever wanted to put forward, then to let them know. So I worked on a concept, worked really, really hard, and then I sent it over to him on email, and I waited. I didn't hear anything, and so I chased, and so I waited. And then eventually I got an answer. And he came back and he said that whilst he liked the idea, he thought it would be something that they could possibly do. There just wasn't something in the programming schedule for this year. So I went back to doing the Sunday morning chilled show, hung my head a little bit, and worked really hard in the studio. So as we've spoken so much about today, the music industry can be so tough, and there's so many points where having doors closed and your ideas not landing can be massively, massively disheartening. But sometimes it's about timing. So this is the tough part, and it can be so easy to walk away, right? And I think at this point, when that happens and the door's closed again, especially if you've had loads of doors closed, it can be easy to say, I'm just going to give up. But it's this point that if you can really push through, then your biggest successes can be on the other side of it. So in December, I went away on holiday, and I never go on holiday, ever, because this industry is tough and I have loads of gigs. So I was away on holiday, and out of the blue, I got a message to say from the station manager that they'd changed their mind, and actually they'd like the show to go on air in the January. So this is December, right? So while I was away, I basically had to work, and I had to start to map out the structure of the show. I had to pick the music that I wanted to play, the artists that I wanted to back, and decide how I wanted the first show to sound. So it happened really, really quickly. The deadlines were close. And even now, we plan every single show 2 to 3 weeks in advance. I pick all the music personally and spend a lot of time listening through promos, planning guest sets, going to festivals and nights so I can share my experiences on air. So I just really believe it's really important to jump into the scene that you're living and representing so that you can be aware not only of the trends and the music that is really popular, but also talk about standout sets and festivals and nights and the artists that you're backing. So you're really living the experience. So I mentioned earlier on a panel that I just got back from the opening of Universe in Ibiza, which for me was just absolutely unforgettable and something that I don't think I'll ever forget for the rest of my life. Watching Carl Cox go back-to-back with Jamie Jones as the sun came up through the back windows of that club, and then being able to go on air. I recorded my radio show in Ibiza and then talk about it and share it with the listeners just makes radio so special. So working for Tomorrowland and building the radio show has opened up so many new opportunities for me. Last year, I got to play the festival in Belgium for the first time. I was put on a little side stage, and it was for a brand, but I absolutely loved every second. The Tomorrowland audience are really warm. They're really dedicated to the festival, and so they're really, really supportive to play for. So whether you're playing on a side stage or one of the main stages, they're always fully committed. And this year, as the show's grown and as my tunes are reaching a further audience, I'm now playing on a bigger stage and one of the main stages. So I'm playing The Sound of Fortune for JBL, which is such a milestone for me, and I'm so, so hyped and excited. A little bit scared as well, actually, but really excited. So it can be easy to say and it can be easy to think. And I think so much advice that you can get in this industry is that you're only ever one tune away from breaking through and for getting your moment of success and all of the hard work paying off. And whilst, that happens for some people, there is another route, and that seems to be the route that I've taken. And it's about staying consistent, staying focused, working hard, being humble, and just chipping away every day. Cruzy mentioned earlier about, training, and I think that's one thing for me is I remember years ago when I ran the marathon, I remember thinking, how am I ever going to be able to do this? And all I did was make sure I got up and I trained and I put one foot in front of the other. And for me, that's what this industry feels like. And whilst the one tune thing can happen, and if it does, I'm so happy for you because that is really your breaking point and the thing that makes you. But chipping away every day really is where it's at. So what have I learned? From my experience, go out, find the opportunities. Don't just sit in the studio and wait for them to come to you. Push boundaries, innovate, come up with ideas and pitch them. You are going to have closed doors. It's going to happen. It won't always be easy, but keep working hard. Really, really believe in your ideas, and things, I promise, will eventually land. One word of advice. Be relentless. Don't get complacent. Stay on your A game, always put your best work forward, and watch out for people snapping at your heels, because there's always going to be someone behind you ready to take your place. But remember, they aren't you. So make yourself unforgettable. I really feel like we're living through some of the most exciting times for electronic music right now. There's a global industry with endless opportunity and possibility. You've just got to go out there and get it.